Hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. I'm your host, Randy Sharman. Hard to believe that fall is just around the corner, so where are people looking to travel in the fall? Good question, right? In a few seconds, travel expert Onanta Forbes will join us to share some of the travel trends and destinations people are looking to visit in the coming months. Plus, the folks from Visit San Antonio were in town a few days ago, so I got the chance to sit down with Deedee Poteete from Visit San Antonio to get an update on what's new to see in San Antonio, Texas. So we'll play that interview for you. And Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions will be along to give us a few destination ideas and travel deals with our weekly roundup. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hi, Onanta.
Andy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hard to believe that fall is just around the corner, right? Here we are, middle of August. I know we still have some summer left, and technically fall doesn't start until the third week of September. So there's still over a month, but time to look at some fall travel trends and things like that. What are you finding with, we're going to talk about a couple of the surveys here, a couple of places that people are looking at, but I'd like to compare notes from what the surveys are saying compared to what you're finding. So let's talk about first some of the things that the surveys are saying. Where are people looking to go and what are they doing?
Right. So it appears that, fall is a good time for people to travel, in their opinion, because, they think that the crowds are over from summer. The weather, as far as the heat, should be lessening. So less crowds to navigate. And it's very interesting that not only fall, but fall and beyond has stirred people's interest in travel because I'm finding that people are looking at 2025 and beyond, and especially with river cruises, which are really popular. The trips aren't that big, so they do fill up quickly. So we're even looking into 2026 there. And Africa's big on my clients' list. People want to go to Africa, and if they don't book soon, some of the nicer or the most popular camps, which again aren't that big, will sell out. So yeah, not just fall, but beyond. People are still having that interest to go.
Yeah, I think it depends on the destination. And as you say, the type of trip that you want. If you want a river cruise, yeah, you really do have to book farther out because, like you said, the options are limited. The ships are smaller. And some of those exotic places, like maybe in Africa safari, it's not one of those things you can book last minute. And I guess maybe that's what we're talking about here, people. And I agree. I think fall is the best time to go. Fall and spring, because it's what they used to call shoulder season. I don't know if there is such a thing anymore, because the crowds are less. The weather is more bearable if you don't like the heat, and just all those things, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, and it's interesting the different destinations that if you aren't going on like a river cruise or exotic destination, as you say, um, which is coming out as like a very popular choice, which is Italy. And Italy has so much attractions to draw: the wine, the food, the history, and the culture, and just being able to go from place to place. Now, one of the, always one thing that triggers people to go to different destinations is seeing it on a TV show or seeing it in social media. And I haven't seen the show. I don't know if you have, but have you seen The White Lotus?
No.
It's driving the popularity of Sicily. That's where like the first show happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's having a significant impact of people want to go there, but it's also increasing the prices because there is, it causes a shortage of affordable places to stay. But Sicily is an up and coming emerging destination, and people see it on TV and they think, yeah, I want to go there. So So yeah, I have to check this show out and see if it's amazing. I think it's in its third season. It goes to different destination, and every destination it goes to, the popularity of that destination increases. But another, but that's just the way. So media can really affect people's, I guess, trends, for the lack of a better word. But
Hmm.
another place that is continuing in popularity, even though the prices are high, is Japan. And Japan, whether you're on a cruise or whether you go and you do a land tour, or you explore the destination on your own, it's drawing people to go, not just during the beautiful blossom season, but other times of the year. So um, it has a weaker yen in comparatively speaking. Our Canadian dollar isn't that strong, so sometimes somebody else's low currency doesn't really affect how much it does cost us to go as Canadians. But transportation, food, and activity costs are reasonable. But because again, a lot of people are going to this destination, they've seen a big increase in accommodation costs that isn't really offset by the weaker yen. So again, it has to do with the bank buying rate as well. The inventory levels. If it's a busy destination, there's not a lot of accommodation. The activity rates go up as far as excursions and such. I still think you should book far in advance to get the best rate.
Hmm.
Like last minute travel, you think that there would be, as in the past, lower prices, but it doesn't always equate to that.
No, that's true. And I don't know for sure if this is last minute travel. People may have already booked this thing maybe in the spring.
Yeah.
One of the surveys we can refer to is a travel insurance marketplace company called Squaremouth, and they've broken down who's doing the traveling. And no surprise, the baby boomers are leading the travel with almost half, like 47%. And that's up from last year. And then Gen Z, the smallest percentage. And it's easy to see why. It's the boomers have the money and the time, and Gen Zs don't.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so it's interesting because another company that's come out with it, it's a separate company called From Virtuoso, and that's a global luxury network of travel advisor. And they're
Hmm.
revealing that, sales are up for fall, for 27% versus 2023, and bookings are up 23% compared to last year or to last fall. So it shows that, yeah, for their survey, that the popularity is showing again Italy, but also second place is the United States, and then it's rounded out by France and Mexico, the United Kingdom, Spain, and even Canada made the list. So that's kind of exciting. And I
Hmm.
would say that it would be true because our dollar, compared to other currency, is low. So you get more
Hmm.
bang for your buck when you come here.
Oh, for sure. Like Americans and the people over in Europe, yeah, they're getting good value for their dollar. That is for sure. Any other things? Like again, I go back to you. You were saying most of your clients are looking long term, that kind of thing. There's anything else that stands out about what people are kind of doing? When it comes to money, is it an object now, or are people kind of blown their budget and blown their COVID savings?
I think money is always going to be a consideration. It just depends on what your budget is. You want to get value for your money. You want to know that what you're spending, you're getting a good return for. So, what I'm seeing a big trend is still group travel or multi-generational family travel. So there's savings in going as a group that, with, working with a travel professional, that they can look at the different optics for you to see where they can give you the best value for your vacation and your budget dollar. So
Hmm.
um, again, there's different ways that maybe um, it's not really the dollar savings, but what you're getting for your dollar. That's really more important to people right now as far as their return, because they really want to experience the destination in its fullest.
Yeah, good point. And I think when it comes to group travel, it's the boomers traveling with the Gen Zers, and the boomers are paying for it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God for grandma and grandpa.
Onanta Forbes is a travel expert. You can follow her on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Thanks, Onanta.
You take care. Have a good week.
Well, the folks from Visit San Antonio were in town a few days ago, so I got the chance to sit down with Deedee Poteete from Visit San Antonio to get an update on what's new to see and do in San Antonio, Texas. Deedee is the Director of Regional Media Relations for Visit San Antonio, and their website is visitsanantonio.com. And here's that conversation for you now. Deedee, it's been a while since we chatted. How have you been?
Buenos dias, and good to see you, Randy. It's been a while, but we love coming to Canada and sharing all the great news about San Antonio, and we have been fine. We have been busy in San Antonio.
If I knew you were going to speak Spanish, I would have said, ¿Cómo está?
Bien gracias. Absolutely. That's about as far as I go, but one thing I love is that we are such a mixed, hot spot of cultures that blend together in San Antonio. The many cultures that's come together over the years truly make us a space that's unique and friendly and warm. You know, the word Tejas is indigenous and means friendly. So that's right. So we feel that way when we come to Canada with all your friendliness, and we sure hope everybody feels that way when they come to Texas, especially San Antonio.
Well, forgive me, but I have not been to San Antonio, but I've heard lots about it, mostly from you and your group at Visit San Antonio. So we got a lot to talk about. Well, let's start with culture, because you're talking about culture, and I remember, we were chatting just before we started this interview. There seems to me there's certain cities that can promote their culture, and you know that you're in a culture city, and there's just some that do better than others, and it seems to me that San Antonio is one of those cities. Am I making any sense?
You're making wonderful sense, and you're absolutely right. You know, it was a great folklorist who said there are 4 unique cities in America. So close your eyes and think of these: New Orleans, San Francisco, Boston, and San Antonio. And when you think about those cities, they have a sense of place. Mm-hmm. You know, when you are walking the historic Freedom Trail in Boston, or the French Quarter in New Orleans, or experiencing those wonderful destinations, that you are someplace special in all the world. It feels like that in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. With the art, the history, the culture, the people. You see from the indigenous to the Germans to the Mexican to Spanish, the list goes on. But what's wonderful is that those wonderful foundations built us and made us who we are, but are still a part of us today. And we celebrate and honor those. And we, of course, find a reason to have a festival around them if we can, because that's what we do in San Antonio.
Well, and when you're talking about that, the word heritage comes to mind, and that brings us to the World Heritage Center, which is opening this year. So tell us about that.
Wonderful transition, you bet. You know, speaking of, we talked about the indigenous for a moment, and we are so proud that whole mission period of San Antonio is part of our history, in that it brought to us the 4 Spanish colonial missions that are active Catholic parishes. And the truth is there are 5 Spanish colonial missions, because the 5th one is now known as the Alamo. So these wonderful missions in San Antonio from the mission period of the 1700s are part of the mission trail. Unlike places like California, where the missions are hundreds of miles apart, the mission trail in San Antonio is only about 12 miles. And it follows along the San Antonio River. Randy, we're so proud that not only are these treasures, they are alive. The 4 that I mentioned are still active Catholic parishes. And of course, it all starts at the Alamo and goes south to Mission Espada. They follow along the San Antonio River, because the Spanish built churches by the river in San Antonio, and they are the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in Texas. Well, how do you get to them? How do you explore them? How do you understand them? Well, that will be a lot easier by the end of this year, 2024, when the World Heritage Center opens right by Mission San Jose.
Nice. So let's assume that you want to wait to visit after the World Heritage Center opens. Can I do it on my own? Is there planned tours? Tell me about that.
Oh, absolutely. But the answer is yes to both. Okay. Very self-guided, our mission trails, and not only self-guided in getting between the missions. You start at the World Heritage Center when it opens in December, and you get a sense of the trail accessibility, the backstory of the missions, how they tied to the acequias and tied to the farmlands and tied to the ranches with the vaqueros, which became the American cowboy. And we know cowboys are very important up here in Canada as well. And what's wonderful is that along that mission trail, you can also hike that 12 miles. You can stroll. It's all developed now where the accessibility goes along the Riverwalk. You can kayak. You can canoe, you can ride e-bikes between the missions, and you can stop at Confluence Park and have yoga on a Sunday morning and sort of get in your own sense of the mission period and the peace that comes down with that part of San Antonio. The tours are wonderful. There are guided tours of the missions. You can bike them. You can certainly go on other modes of transportation to get between them. And there's even, Randy, and we're breaking news here, the new Camino of the missions. So many people know about the Camino de Santiago de Compostela in Spain, and many pilgrims have walked that for centuries, but now the Camino in San Antonio is part of that. It's the only place in North America where walking the Camino, experiencing the Camino in San Antonio, you get a stamp on the passport that validates part of your pilgrimage in Spain. So isn't that cool?
That is very cool. Now, you mentioned that there's 5 heritage sites. Alamo is one of them, and there's lots of news with that. There's going to be a huge expansion, I recall, in one of our past interviews. Give us an update on that.
Oh, exciting. We're so thrilled about what's happening with the Alamo plan. Randy, the Alamo is really, it's Texas, it's San Antonio, but it's America, it's universal. It's a national message of the struggle that happened there and the people that brought their passions to that area. And of course, with history and with battles, there's always further discussions and history that needs to be told and fully told. So that's what's happening right now. The Alamo Trust is doing a beautiful job of working on the Alamo for the $550 million Alamo plan.
Wow.
We're in the middle of it now, and the goal is three-pronged, really. It's to reestablish the original boundaries of the mission, of the Alamo mission, because when you think about it, after the battle, the city grew up around the Alamo and sort of encroached on those boundaries. Number 2, to tell the full and whole story of the Alamo. And that's part of the community discussion and bringing in all the voices, the indigenous voices, the Tohono voices, those that are a huge part, an important part, a critical part of the story. And then also to build a world-class visitor center and museum. And not only will that be completed in 2027, and we're developing in stages, so there's plenty to see now, but it will house the Phil Collins collection. And people say, Phil Collins, the British rock star? And I say yes. He is the largest collector of Alamo memorabilia, and he is donated his collection to the Alamo if those 3 goals are met as part of the Alamo plan, and we are well on our way.
That's really cool. Who knew about Phil Collins, by the way, right? Now, okay, we're talking heritage and culture. We got to talk about food, because that goes hand in hand. We all have to eat.
Well, and we eat well in San Antonio, and we certainly come to Canada to enjoy your wonderful cuisine. But what we love to share is not only our traditional, authentic culinary in San Antonio, but Randy, let me tell you, the culinary scene in San Antonio is exploding. We are now known, no kidding, as the culinary capital of Texas. And that's a big claim, because that's a big state. But we've got the goods to back it up. Number 1, there's hundreds of new restaurants that have opened, and many of which are part of chef-driven experiences, curated experiences, new fusions, new takes on old favorites, wonderful parts of town, adaptive reuse of historic buildings, but the cuisines and the culinary talent that is amassing there that everyone can experience is just, now is the time to come and take advantage and experience the culinary scene of San Antonio. We're the home to the Culinary Institute of America. There's only a branch in Napa Valley, in San Antonio, and of course the headquarters are in Hyde Park, New York, where there are culinary students who are having this world-class experience. And where do they want to open their restaurants? They want to stay home because of the quality of life and the traction that's happening on the culinary front. But I've got big news for you on the culinary scene, Randy.
Okay.
So just a couple weeks ago, San Antonio, along with some other Texas cities, are now Michelin cities. So that's huge news for the traveling and the culinary public, and for people who just like to eat well, which I think is all of us. And we are now eligible, and we are excited about what's going to happen with the Michelin inspectors who are now all over San Antonio, experiencing our amazing cuisine, our amazing restaurants, the talent, and the culinarians, and the bars, and all the great offerings. And by the end of this year, 2024, we'll have announcements about who has received a Michelin star or a Bib Gourmand or other designations in San Antonio, and that is certainly up to the inspectors and to Michelin. But we feel extremely confident, Texas-sized confident, that the Lone Stars will align and the Michelin stars will come to San Antonio. We hope our Canadian friends do as well.
Yeah, well, it's not just barbecued steak and baked potatoes anymore. Not that there's anything wrong, because that's my favorite meal, but right?
Well, absolutely. We've got to get you down for the barbecue steak and baked potatoes and our wonderful Tex-Mex cuisine, which, of course, is very authentic to San Antonio. So much more. And we have wonderful food festivals. There'll be one in the spring. I'll be sharing more with you about when we have our dates settled down. But you can come anytime to San Antonio and have wonderful cuisine and memorable foods that becomes part of that. Hey, honey, let's go back there. Remember that meal we had at such and such, and we sat on the river, or we sat in a part of town under the wonderful green trees of San Antonio and drank some good Texas wine. So y'all come on down, and y'all come hungry.
I love that. Y'all tell me about the Riverwalk now, and I would think it's probably easiest just to stay right downtown because everything's accessible. Am I right?
It's certainly, you can stay all over San Antonio. We have 40,000 rooms across the city, but the bulk of them, about 15,000, are in the heart of downtown, because that's where the Riverwalk and so much of the tourism infrastructure is. But we encourage people to get out too, and to see those wonderful neighborhoods and those gyms, and where do the locals eat, where do the locals shop, But when you are in San Antonio, you're definitely going to want to come downtown to the Riverwalk, the jewel of San Antonio, which now is 15 miles, Randy, because it goes all the way north up to the Pearl Brewery and all the way south to the most southern of the Missions. So you can experience a different personality depending on which way you go on the river, but the bustling, glistening nightlife, tableside dining, hotels and restaurants, music floating by, boats floating by with folks enjoying the beautiful views is in the heart of San Antonio on the Riverwalk. And if you haven't been there, imagine a little piece of Europe drop down in the middle of Texas. It's 20 feet below the street level. I always say it's about 5 to 7 degrees cooler down there because the winds are blowing, you're under the shady trees, and it is just a beautiful experience to stroll, walk, and you can also get more active down to the Missions if you want to hike and bike, and we love people to do that as well.
Well, there's lots of things to see and do. Now, and to your point about getting down where it's cooler, when is a good time to visit? I suppose now that I've asked that question, it's probably depends on what you want to do, if you want to take in some of the festivals or anything like that.
You bet. Well, I always say the only ice in San Antonio is in the margaritas. So we want everybody who's chilly up in Canada to take that plane. It's an easy hop. It's about a 4-hour flight, and you can easily connect from Houston or from Dallas-Fort Worth, 45-minute flight from there. And we love our snowbirds who drive down from Canada as well. We love that. But when you come down, there'll be a festival going on because we throw a party at the drop of a sombrero in San Antonio. So there's always something going on in Market Square, at La Villita, around town, on the Riverwalk. We have more than half a dozen parades that happen on the Riverwalk. We're very proud of those during the holidays, during Dia de los Muertos, during Fiesta, during St. Patrick's Day. We have a fabulous Pride Parade in June, where it's the only Pride Parade that happens on a river. So we're very proud of that and proud of our Pride Parade. But you cannot go wrong with any of those festivals, and especially things like Fiesta and Day of the Dead that really go deep into the cultures of San Antonio.
Well, expand on Day of the Dead, because I had the luxury of being in Puerto Vallarta to celebrate Day of the Dead. So compare it to some of the other celebrations around the world.
Well, you're absolutely right. You were in Mexico where Day of the Dead started. And of course, we were Mexico, we were Spain. So those cultures are extremely blended. And we have the lovely opportunity to celebrate the largest Day of the Dead celebration in the United States is in San Antonio.
See, I
That's
didn't
right.
know that.
It's Texas. Go big or go home, right? So it's a series of events that happen, I would say, over a whole week with the weekends anchoring. And sort of the highlight is the Day of the Dead River Parade. More than 20 floats going down the river. You can sit on the Arneson River Theater or at a beautiful restaurant or seats along the way or at parade areas and watch these floats with the decorations, with the calaveras, with the catrinas, with the costumes, with the face painting, with the music, with celebrating the culture of Day of the Dead, which basically is celebrating the lives who've come before us. The Day of the Dead River Parade is fantastic. Just up the stairs from the River Parade will be the wonderful festival in La Villita, Day of the Dead Festival there, which will go on for days with wonderful offerings. And just across the Alamo Street at our wonderful Hemisphere, which is part of Hemisphere 1968, will be Muertos Fest, Dia de los Muertos in Hemisphere. And what's lovely about this, Randy, it's been voted one of the best festivals in the United States. It really celebrates the community altars. So people come from families, from organizations, all across the city and beyond, and build a community altar honoring those who've come before with little special things from that person. It's an expression of art, of culture, of passion, of memory. And for those who've seen the Disney movie Coco, you know what I'm talking about. So you wouldn't think about, hey, honey, where are we going to go for Day of the Dead this year? But we want you to think about that, and San Antonio is the place to go.
Muy bueno. I think Coco has done more for Day of the Dead than anything else, any other kind of celebration or anything. Anything we've missed that you want to add?
You know what? I would just say family travel is huge in San Antonio. Come to our theme parks. Of course, we are the theme park capital of Texas as well, with over 660 acres, not only with huge SeaWorld San Antonio, which is fantastic, but also Six Flags Fiesta Texas is unbelievable for the family and for the kids of all ages, even the big kids like you and me, Randy. But we're especially proud of Morgan's Wonderland. You know, a lot of folks are like, well, what is Morgan's Wonderland? It is the only and first ultra accessible theme park in the world. Beautiful place established by Gordon Hartman for his daughter Morgan, who's special needs. And he just said, I'm going to make a place that folks of all abilities can come and have those theme park and those joyful, adventurous entertainment experiences. So every ride in the park, every experience in the park is for all abilities. And I'm talking not only carousels and roller coasters and Ferris wheels, but I'm talking about a lake where you can fish. I'm talking about zip lines. I'm talking about a 4D cinema theater, all part of the largest expansion they just went through. Imagine being on a zip line in a wheelchair, that you can have that experience only in Morgan's Wonderland. And for all sensory special needs, you know, whatever your need is, you are absolutely entry free to the park, and it is a heartwarming, beautiful place. There's going to be a movie about it coming out. So come experience the real deal at Morgan's Wonderland in San Antonio.
Deedee Poteete is the Director of Regional Media Relations for Visit San Antonio. That would be a good place to start if you want to plan a visit to San Antonio. The website, visitsanantonio.com. It's so much fun. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, Deedee. Thank you.
You're welcome, Randy. And remember, I'm holding your margarita for you, so get yourself to San Antonio and everybody else too. Thank you.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast. You can also email me with any questions you might have as well. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you want to get up-to-date travel info through the week or just see a few amusing travel stories and links, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/informedtraveler, on Instagram at Informed Traveler, or you can follow me on X at Informed Traveler. So now, as always, I'd like to end the show with our weekly roundup, and joining us to do that, like he does each week, is Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions. Good day, sir.
Hello, Randy. Hello, everybody. Almost back to school time. Middle of the month already. I don't know where the first
we're talking fall. Fall is just around the corner, isn't it?
Right after fall comes winter. And again, like it's going to sneak up on us sooner than later, but we really like long stays. And Air Canada Vacations has got one. We'll take you to Portugal for 24 nights, including your air transfers to and from your destinations, your first night in Lisbon, then move you down to the Algarve region by train. All your accommodations, all your transfers, throw in a few breakfasts, a few excursions, all from 33.19 per person, and that date that they chose is February the 11th, but we can look at other dates for you.
Hmm.
So if you take out the airfare, trains, and transfers, which are your basic modes of transportation and a lot of the big costs, it works out to less than $100 a day. So I
That's
don't think you could
nice.
stay and enjoy yourself in Calgary for $100 a day.
Could you do that back to back and do 48 nights? Just do it all over again?
We can always ask that question. That's what your travel agent
so
does
you
for
can
you. He checks it
so you
out.
can stay longer is what I'm getting at.
Well, instead of doing the back to back, why don't you do Portugal? And then again, we got lots of other options. So maybe we'll throw you over to the French Riviera or maybe Spain or Italy if we're all the way over there,
Yeah.
anyways. You could do
Yeah, there you
that
go.
for another
Now you're
21
talking.
days or so. And we've also got ones over in Southeast Asia. And if you're like me, I'd be throwing in some golfing if I was doing one of those. We can get you down under to Australia. And there's lots of places you can do long stays. So, again, a great way
Nice.
to get away from the winter and not really all that expensive.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, if you look, you think about it, even if you're here, you still have to eat and you still have to pay for all the utilities and transportation. So you're doing the same
Yep.
thing basically.
Just someplace maybe a little nicer and a little more relaxing.
Hmm.
Viking Ocean Cruises has got their 25 for 25 sale on now for 2025. Receive a $500 per couple bonus along with free international airfare. And again, because it's 25, it's only going to cost you a $25 person deposit. And they've
Nice.
got that on right now until the end of August, so we got some time to have a look at one of those. And they've got some really great sailings, and they do down the Caribbean, South America. We've got over in Africa and Asia, and all kinds of cruises that you can choose from. So
Very
got
good.
one out.
Hmm.
Holland America, I will also want you to sail away. Plan that girls' getaway or maybe a family trip now. Book a cruise to the Caribbean, Mexico, or the Panama Canal. They're going to give you 45% off the fares, plus you're going to get free fares for those third and fourths, and they can be the kids or they can be adults in the room. So whether you snorkel the turquoise waters or want to roam ancient ruins together, vacation with your crew for the price of two.
I like that. Vacation with your
I like
crew
how
for
they
the
rhyme
price
that.
of
I do.
two.
For the price of two. I didn't make that one up. They did. Credits to Holland America for that one. Emerald River Cruises. Let yourself experience the ultimate luxury enjoyment during their Emerald Cruises Explore Beyond sale. Right now, journey with a $400 Euro on board credit per couple on select Rhine, Main, and Danube River cruises, which are the three main ones that everybody does over there. Enhance your trip. Allow yourself to indulge in a range of exciting activities and services available on board our luxury star ships, such as spa services, enhanced drink packages, and now they have the optional special Discover More excursions, which are really, really cool looking. And you can use your onboard credit, provides you that flexibility to tailor your sailing to what you want to do, to what your preferences would be on that sailing. So, plus, you can also combine that offer with their generous best available offer, where you can save up to another $5,600 per couple on
Holy
5 to
cow.
11 day cruises, or up to $3,000 per couple with free airfare on 15 plus day cruises. So, again, we can help you sort it out. Use that free phone call.
Well, as we always say, the airfare is a big chunk of the cruise because we are
Mm-hmm.
landlocked here. We got to get there. So yeah, free airfare is a big chunk.
Exactly, exactly. I'm starting to see a water theme here. So, Sister, Scenic River Cruises. Their Gems of the Danube sailings receive reduced economy airfares, savings up to $800 per person on selected departures, along with their best available offer. And they're going to let you throw in a complimentary 3 night extension in Prague, just because.
Just
So again, a
because.
great way to get over there, and it's lots of extras. And again, whether it's the $50 savings or, like I say, the $5,600 per couple savings, savings are savings. It's money you can spend on something else.
Absolutely. Every dollar counts. We always say that.
Uniworld River Cruises wants to take you to Peru and the Amazon in 2025. They've got savings of up to 10% on their 2025 cruises with their early booking savings by the end of September. And that's combinable with their River Heritage Club. If you sailed on Uniworld before, you'll know what that is. You can save another $150 to $700 per person by being a past passenger. So again, lots of offers out there for everybody to do. And if you want to do something a little fun and a little closer to home, American Cruise Lines, sailings on the Mississippi, Mississippi. I have to do that every time we talk about it. I just love that word. But they also sail on the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers. Actually, TENNESS. EE is almost as much fun as Mississippi. So we're going to take you to cities like Nashville, Memphis, New Orleans, and in between. Excursions in each city, along with your beverage and meals, onboard entertainment, Wi-Fi, and the ship gratuities are all included in your price. So one shop stopping for one price. And right now they've got free airfare and savings up to $1,500. Another good reason to use that free phone call we talk about.
I would love to do that cruise along the Mississippi
I
there
think
and
it'd
see
be really
Nashville,
cool.
Memphis, New Orleans. All those places would be fantastic.
And especially if you do it by river or whatever, so you're not having to drive in between or anything like that. You just sit back
Yeah,
and
right?
enjoy the
Yeah.
city for the day. Yeah. So right now we're into the later stages of what the suppliers consider summer season. So if you didn't get away this past fall or winter in 2024, but you want to get away this fall or winter coming up for 2025, we should be looking now as the suppliers and resorts have all of their products loaded for the sun destinations. And a lot of the populates, Christmas, New Year's, Family Day are already selling really, really well, and some resorts are almost sold out or have limited availability. Limited availability, tongue twister. So give us a call to discuss your plans because you've got a large family or whatever. A lot of those large rooms at the resorts, they don't have a lot of those. So again, they're
Hmm.
tougher to find if you're going in one of those seasons. And you're going to find that we rarely have or see any specials per se, like we talk a lot about with the cruises that we were just talking about, and probably not going to have any last minute deals for sun packages. I don't remember seeing any for the last couple of years. So again, if you're
Yeah.
considered it, haven't got anything booked yet, to have a conversation with your favorite travel agent. And this week I had a really good friend. A lot of times he'll book himself because they're fairly simple trips and things like that. But a lot of times he's booked with us as well. This past week though, he decided to book himself a trip for him and his wife to Tahiti. And I know Bora Bora's on your wife's list or whatever. He booked it through Expedia, but he didn't realize that the hotel that he booked was on a different island than the
Oh,
island in
no.
Tahiti he had booked his airfare to. So he has to deal with all the changes and the extra costs himself to have it all corrected. He's emailed me a few times and we've given him questions to ask and talk to Expedia about or whatever. And his comment at the end of the last conversation was, next time I'm calling you. And again, even if it's just to check it out to see if there's a difference in the pricing, because we always talk a lot about, remember, online pricing
Hmm.
is almost
Hmm.
always identical to what an agent can find for you. But not only can we assist you before, like in this case, making sure he gets to the right island, help with some
Yes.
suggestions and assist you again during and if necessary after the trip. So booking online, you're still essentially dealing with a travel agent, just not a live one. But you've got no personalized service or conversations really looking after everything by yourself. So if you've never used a real live travel agent, try one out. You might like how easy the process is and how much more enjoyable in the end your vacation is going to be too.
About that free call, what's the number?
In Calgary, 403-241-7140. And if you're outside Calgary, call us toll free, 1-877-511-5511. Then you too can relax. It's all taken care of.
Indeed, sir.
Have a great week, everyone.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.